That isn't your medicine, the maid's daughter whispered, uncovering a billionaire family's betrayal and a silent inheritance scheme worth $75 million. The moment it began wasn't loud, it was surgical. In a room that smelled of money and dying breath, billionaire Wallace Thorne lay fading, eyes half closed, a king without a kingdom. No one saw the truth. Not the doctors, not the servants, except Anna, the maid's 10-year-old daughter, who watched the wrong bottle change hands and realized too late she had witnessed a murder attempt. Fear told her to stay silent. Conscience told her to speak. That isn't your medicine, she whispered, a voice too small to matter in a house where truth was expensive. This isn't just a story about inheritance and betrayal. It's the story of how Anna saw what no one else dared to, and changed everything. And before I forget, where are you watching from today? Leave a comment below. Enjoy the story. A 10-year-old girl saw the truth, but the family only saw the maid's daughter. Anna watched the old man struggle for breath in his $75 million mansion. She knew his son was the reason he was dying, and she was the only one who knew why. We begin not with the money, but with the quiet. The Thorne mansion was a cathedral of silence. Sunlight came through the tall windows, but it felt cold. It landed on museum-quality rugs and antique furniture, but it offered no warmth. In this mansion, Emily worked as a ghost. Emily was Anna's mother. She was a woman who lived in the margins of other people's lives. Her hands were rough from bleach and polish. Her knees ached from scrubbing marble floors. She polished silver she could never own. She washed sheets she could never sleep in. She was paid to be invisible. And she was very, very good at her job. This summer, the school programs were full. The cost of a babysitter was more than Emily could afford. So, 10-year-old Anna had to come with her. Anna was a small girl with bright blonde hair. She looked like a dandelion seed that had drifted into the wrong garden. Like her mother, Anna understood the first rule of her mother's world: be invisible. She would sit on a small stool in the wide, empty hallways. She brought a drawing pad and a single pencil. She would sketch the patterns in the wallpaper or the shadows on the floor. She sat for hours, as still and silent as the porcelain statues that lined the hall. Her mother, Emily, would pass by, pushing the heavy linen cart. She would give Anna a small, tired smile. Anna would smile back. It was their secret language. It meant, I am okay. Are you okay? The heart of the mansion, and the source of its silence, was the master bedroom. In that room, Mr. Wallace Thorne lay dying. Wallace Thorne was the patriarch. He had built an empire from nothing. He was a man of iron will and sharp decisions. Now, he was a frail figure, lost in a sea of white pillows and expensive blankets. He was worth $75 million. And he had 2 children. The first was Stephen. Stephen Thorne was a man in his 40s. He wore suits that cost more than Emily's car. He had his father's sharp eyes, but none of his warmth. Stephen handled the family business. He would pace the hallways talking on his phone, his voice a low, urgent hum. Anna watched him. He never smiled. When he looked at his sick father, Anna did not see sadness. She saw impatience. The second child was Clara. Clara was softer. She would visit her father's room and read to him. She often looked stressed, her face pale. She would sometimes stop and smile at Anna in the hallway. What are you drawing today, sweetie? Clara would ask. Just the wall, ma'am, Anna would whisper. Clara would sigh, touch Anna's blonde hair, and then continue on, her shoulders heavy. Anna watched them all. She was a quiet girl, but she was an observer. This was a skill she learned from her great-uncle Frank. Her mother's uncle, Frank, was a war veteran. He lived in a small apartment above a hardware store. He didn't talk much, but when he did, Anna listened. Last winter, he had taken Anna to the park. People always look, Anna, he told her, his voice rough like gravel. But they never see. They look at a man's mouth, but they should watch his hands. The hands tell the real story. He pointed. See that man on the bench? He's smiling. But look at his hands. He's tearing that newspaper to shreds. He's not happy. He's angry. Anna learned to watch. She watched her mother's hands twist her apron when the housekeeper was unkind. She watched the mailman's hands hurry when his bag was heavy. And in this house, she watched Stephen Thorne. She watched his hands. She saw how they gripped his phone. She saw how they drummed on the mahogany tables. She saw how they straightened his tie, quick and nervous, whenever he left his father's room. His hands were never calm. They were the hands of a man waiting for something. One Tuesday afternoon, The tension in the house grew. The air felt thick. Anna heard Stephen and Clara arguing. Their voices were muffled, coming from the library. The new will is a disgrace. Stephen's voice was sharp. He's not in his right mind. He is leaving half of it to charity. He is leaving my half to charity, Stephen. Clara's voice was weary. He is giving you the entire business. It is what he always wanted. It's not enough, Stephen hissed. That money should stay in the family. With me. I'm the one who kept this empire afloat while he got old and soft. He is our father, Clara said, her voice breaking. He's a fool, Stephen replied. The library door opened, and Stephen stormed out. He did not even see Anna sitting on her stool. Later that day, Emily was in the main kitchen, deep in the basement. Anna was alone on the second floor, near the master bedroom. The house was quiet. Anna was drawing the heavy curtains by the window. Her pencil rolled from her lap. It bounced on the thick carpet and rolled under the edge of a large, dark cabinet that stood against the wall. Anna got on her hands and knees. She crawled into the dark space behind the cabinet to get her pencil. It was dusty. She found her pencil, and just as she was about to back out, she heard the heavy door of the master bedroom open. She froze. She knew she was not supposed to be this close. She heard footsteps. It was Stephen Thorne. Anna stayed perfectly still in the shadows. She could see the edge of the large bed from her hiding spot. Stephen walked to the nightstand. A tray with medicine bottles was waiting there. A nurse always prepared it. Stephen looked at the tray. He looked back at the closed door. He was alone. Or so he thought. Anna watched. She held her breath. Stephen's hands moved. He picked up a small, brown bottle. This was the heart medicine. Anna had seen the nurse give it to Mr. Thorne every day at 4 o'clock. Stephen's hand slipped the brown bottle into his suit pocket. Then, from his other pocket, he pulled out a different bottle. It was blue. It looked almost the same. He placed the blue bottle on the tray. He then picked up the small glass and the water. He shook 2 pills from the blue bottle into his palm. He walked over to the bed. "Father," Stephen said, his voice suddenly gentle. "Father, wake up. It's time for your medicine." Mr. Thorne groaned. His eyes opened slowly. "Stephen, I'm so tired." The old man's voice was a whisper. "I know, Father. This will make you feel stronger," Stephen said. Anna watched him lift his father's head. She watched him place the wrong pills into the old man's mouth. She watched him hold the glass of water. Mr. Thorne swallowed. He coughed. Then he settled back into the pillows. "You're a good son, Stephen," the old man murmured, his eyes already closing. Stephen stood there for a long moment. His face was blank. He put the glass down. He left the wrong bottle, the blue one, on the nightstand. Then he turned and walked out of the room, closing the door with a soft click. Anna's heart was beating so hard she thought it would burst. Her great-uncle Frank's words came back to her. Watch their hands. The hands tell the real story. She waited 1 minute. 2 minutes. She crawled out from behind the cabinet. She was shaking. She stood up and looked at the huge bed. Mr. Thorne was breathing, but it was shallow. He looked paler than before. Anna knew she should leave. She should go back to her stool. She should be invisible. But she looked at the old, sick man. He looked like her great-uncle Frank when he was asleep. She took 1 step toward the bed, then another. She stood by the nightstand. She looked at the blue bottle. She looked at the old man. He was slipping into a heavy, unnatural sleep. Anna leaned in close, her blonde hair brushing the silk pillowcase. She whispered, so quietly it was almost just air, "That isn't your medicine." Mr. Thorne did not stir. His breathing was a faint, shallow rustle. Fear, cold and sharp, shot through Anna. She was not supposed to be here. She was not supposed to have seen. She backed away from the bed. 1 step, 2 steps. Her eyes were fixed on the blue bottle on the nightstand. It looked like a small, dark piece of poison. She turned and ran. Her feet were silent on the thick wool carpet. She ran down the grand staircase, her hand gliding over the polished wood rail. She didn't stop until she reached the basement kitchen. This room was different from the rest of the house. It was warm. It smelled of bleach, but also of the soup Emily was simmering for the staff. Emily was standing at a large steel sink, washing a pot. "Mama," Anna said. Her voice was a small gasp. Emily turned, wiping her hands on her apron. Her face was tired, but it softened when she saw her daughter. "What is it, sweetie? You look like you've seen a ghost." I think Mr. Stephen is hurting his father." Emily's small smile vanished. She dried her hands completely and knelt, so her eyes were level with Anna's. This was serious. What do you mean, Anna? Don't say things like that. That's a terrible thing to say. I saw him, Anna insisted. Her words tumbled out, fast and jumbled. I was hiding, behind the cabinet. He came in. He had a different bottle. A blue one. He put the brown bottle in his pocket and gave Mr. Thorne the blue one. He changed the medicine. Emily listened. Her expression was hard to read. It was a mix of fear and disbelief. Anna, are you sure? Yes, Mama. The nurse always gives the brown one. He used a blue one. And Mr. Thorne, he looked sicker. Emily stood up. She looked around the kitchen, even though they were alone. She was checking for other ghosts, other maids, other listeners. Anna, you must be mistaken, Emily said, but her voice was low. Mr. Stephen is his son. He loves his father. He didn't look like he loved him, Anna said. He looked blank. And I heard him arguing with Miss Clara. He was angry about the money. Emily's hand shot out and gripped Anna's shoulder. It wasn't rough, but it was firm. You will not say that word again, Emily whispered. You will not talk about the money. You will not talk about the medicine. You were not there. You did not see anything. Do you understand me? But Mama, he's sick. I understand, Emily said, her voice sharp. What I understand is that my job pays for our apartment. It pays for your food. It pays for your shoes. And I keep that job by not seeing. Tears welled in Anna's eyes. It was the wrong answer. It was the one answer she didn't expect. You are a child, Emily said, her voice softening now. She pulled Anna into a hug. The apron smelled like soap. You don't understand these things. These are adult things. You probably just saw him give an extra pill or a different kind of pill. The doctor changes them all the time. You are not a doctor, Anna. I am not a doctor. She held Anna at arm's length. Promise me, you will not mention this to anyone. Not me. Not Miss Clara. No one. You will go back upstairs. You will sit on your stool. And you will draw. That is all. Yes, Mama, Anna whispered. But as she walked away, a cold knot settled in her stomach. Her mother was wrong. Her mother was just scared. Anna went back to the second-floor landing. She sat on her stool. She picked up her pencil. She tried to draw the pattern on the rug. But all she could draw was a small, blue bottle. For the next 2 days, the house changed. The silence was heavier. Mr. Thorne was no longer just sick. He was fading. The family doctor, a man named Dr. Miles, came and went. He was a small man with a neat mustache. He always looked hurried. Anna watched him leave the master bedroom, followed by Stephen. It's just the progression of the illness, Dr. Miles said, snapping his bag shut. At his age, it can be very rapid. We are doing all we can to make him comfortable. I understand, Doctor, Stephen said. His face was a perfect mask of sad concern. Thank you for coming so quickly. Clara stood nearby, twisting a handkerchief in her hands. But he was better last week. He was sitting up. He was talking. Clara, please, Stephen said, putting a hand on her arm. The doctor has explained it. We knew this was coming. It just seems so fast, she whispered. Her eyes were red. Dr. Miles nodded. It often does. I've adjusted his pain management. That should help him rest. Anna watched from her stool. She watched the doctor. She watched Stephen. Her great-uncle Frank had told her something else. When a man is lying, he'd said, he tries too hard. He'll give you too many details. Or he won't look at you. But a real liar, a good one, he looks right at you. He believes his own lie. That's the one you watch out for. Stephen looked right at his sister. He looked right at the doctor. He looked right at the nurse. He was a good liar. Anna knew she was the only one who had seen the truth. Her mother had chosen to be blind. The doctors were not looking. And Clara was too full of grief to see. It was just Anna, a 10-year-old girl with a pencil. She felt a new feeling. It wasn't just fear. It was anger. It was a cold, hard anger that she had never felt before. They were letting this happen. That evening, the nurse, a kind woman named Mrs. Boyd, was changing Mr. Thorne's linens. Anna saw her come out of the room, pushing a cart. The cart held a small, clear plastic bag. In the bag were empty medicine cups, tissues, and other trash. And a small, blue bottle. It was empty. Mrs. Boyd pushed the cart toward the service elevator. She was called away by the housekeeper for a moment. She left the cart in the hallway. Anna's heart hammered. This was her chance. She looked down the hall. No one. The housekeeper was talking to Mrs. Boyd by the stairs. Anna slipped off her stool. She moved quickly. She reached the cart. Her hands were shaking. She put her hand into the plastic trash bag. She grabbed the small blue bottle. It was light. She shoved it deep into the pocket of her dress. Anna, what are you doing? Anna spun around. It was Clara. Her eyes were puffy from crying. Anna froze. She felt the shape of the bottle in her pocket. I was just looking at the cart, ma'am, Anna said. Clara looked at her, confused. You shouldn't be touching the medical supplies, honey. It's not safe. I'm sorry, Anna whispered. She backed away toward her stool. Clara sighed, not angry, just tired. She put a hand to her head. It's all right. Just stay on your stool. It's better if you stay clear. Clara walked away toward her own room. Anna sat down. Her legs felt like water. She did not move for an hour. She clutched the bottle in her pocket. She had done it. She had the proof. But then a new, terrible thought hit her. What did she have, really? It was an empty bottle. What did it prove? Stephen would just say the doctor ordered it. He would say it was a new medicine. He would say Anna stole it. He would say she was a thief. And her mother would be fired. They would be thrown out. They would have no home. Anna felt the cold, hard plastic. It was not proof. It was a trap. She felt a wave of despair. She was just a little girl. She couldn't stop a man like Stephen Thorne. She sat there, holding the bottle, as the sun went down. The house grew dark. The silence in the mansion was no longer peaceful. It was the silence of a grave. That evening, Anna sat in the back of the city bus. The empty blue bottle was a heavy, guilty weight in her pocket. She and her mother sat side by side, but they were miles apart. The rattle of the bus engine filled the silence between them. Emily's shift had ended. She had found Anna, not on the stool, but standing by the window, staring at the long shadows on the lawn. Anna, it's time to go, her mother said. Her voice was strained. Anna just nodded. As they walked down the long gravel path to the main gate, Emily stopped. She pulled Anna behind a large, dark hedge, out of sight of the main house. What is in your pocket? Emily asked. Her voice was a low hiss. Anna looked at the ground. Show me. Now. Slowly, Anna pulled out the small blue bottle. Emily's face went white. It was a kind of fear Anna had never seen before. It was not the fear of a spider or a dark room. It was the fear of true, life-altering ruin. You stole this, Emily whispered. She grabbed the bottle. From the medical trash. Anna, do you know what this is? This is jail. For you. For me. They will say we are thieves. They will say we are trying to harm them. They will fire me. But Mama, I don't care. Emily's voice was fierce, but her eyes were terrified. I told you. This is not our world. This is not our fight. These people, they are sharks. And we are just small fish in their pond. They will eat us, and they will not even notice. He's killing him. Anna cried, the words finally bursting out. And we will be on the street. Emily countered. Is that what you want? You want us to have no home? Because I will be fired. Right now? And no one will ever hire a maid who steals from the trash, who makes up stories about her employer. She crouched down, gripping Anna's arms. This is not a game. This is our life. You must let it go. You must forget everything you saw. Emily's face crumpled. Please, Anna. I am begging you. I cannot lose this job. I cannot lose you. Anna looked at her mother. She saw a woman who was not weak, but who was trapped. A woman who had been fighting for so long. She only knew how to survive. Anna nodded. The anger inside her turned into a cold, hard stone of sadness. Okay, Mama. Emily's shoulders slumped in relief. She stood up. She quickly wrapped the blue bottle in a napkin from her lunch bag and shoved it deep into her own purse. I will throw this in a dumpster in the city, she said. Far away from here. And we will never, ever speak of it again. The bus ride continued in silence. Anna watched the city lights pass by. Her proof was gone. Her mother would not help her. Mr. Thorne was going to die, and Stephen would win. She felt a wave of total despair. She was just a little girl. She couldn't stop it. Then, she thought of her great-uncle Frank. She remembered visiting him after he had a fall. He was in his small apartment, his arm in a sling. They said I was stuck, he told her, nodding at the cast. Doctor said, Frank, you can't fight with one arm. I told him, son, if you're outmatched, you don't fight their fight. You change the battlefield. Anna sat up a little straighter on the bus seat. Her mother was right. She couldn't fight Stephen. The bottle was his fight. He had more bottles. He had the doctor. He had all the money. She needed to change the battlefield. What did that mean? She couldn't prove what Stephen was doing. But what if she didn't have to? What if she just had to stop it? The thought hit her like a small shock. The blue bottle was the poison. The brown bottle was the medicine. Stephen had taken the brown bottle. He must have it. He wouldn't throw it away. He would need to put it back after Mr. Thorne was gone. To hide what he had done, Anna had a new plan. She was not going to prove anything. She was going to find the real medicine. The next morning, the atmosphere in the Thorne mansion was not just quiet. It was heavy. A man in a black suit with a white collar, a priest, was leaving as Anna and her mother arrived. Anna's stomach tightened. They walked into the main hall, and they saw Clara. She was not just stressed. She was weeping. She was standing by the large staircase, and Stephen was with her. He had his arm around her shoulders in a show of comfort. "He's not responding, Stephen," Clara sobbed. "He just sleeps. Dr. Miles was here. He said it's a matter of hours. We must be strong for him, Clara," Stephen said. His voice was perfectly pitched. Sad, firm, supportive. It is what he would want. "We should go to the library. We need to make arrangements." Clara nodded, wiping her eyes. "You're right. I can't believe it." They walked past Anna. Stephen didn't even glance at her. He was too busy playing the part of the grieving son. Anna watched them go into the library. The door closed. The ticking clock in her head was now deafening. Hours. She looked at her mother. Emily was already in the dining room, her back to Anna, silently polishing the silver. This was her chance. Anna knew where Stephen's private study was. It was on the same floor, just down the hall from the master bedroom. She slipped off her stool. Her heart was beating a fast, sick rhythm. This was not like hiding. This was not like taking trash. This was entering his private room. Her mother's voice was in her head. "Don't get involved. They will destroy us." Her great-uncle's voice was louder. "You see the truth. You have to act." She walked down the hall. The house was empty. The nurse was with Mr. Thorne. Her mother was downstairs. Stephen and Clara were in the library. She reached the study. The door was a heavy, dark wood. She put her small hand on the brass knob. She turned it. It was unlocked. She pushed it open. It swung inward with a soft whoosh. She slipped inside and closed it behind her, leaving it open just a crack. The room was dark. The curtains were drawn. It smelled of old books, leather, and the faint, sweet smell of cigars. A huge desk stood in the middle. Bookshelves lined the walls. Anna looked around, her eyes wide with panic. Where would he hide it? Her uncle's voice came back to her. "People are lazy. Even rich people. They hide things where it's easy. Close to them." She ran to the desk. She tried the top drawer. Locked. The second. Locked. She tried the bottom drawer. It slid open. It was full of files. Folders with labels. She pawed through them. Finances. Contracts. Nothing. She looked around the room. A small, dark wood cart stood in the corner. It held glass bottles of liquor and an ice bucket. On the cart was a polished wooden box. A cigar box. It was the only other thing in the room. She ran to it. She put her fingers on the lid. She tried to lift it. Locked. Of course, it was locked. A sound in the hallway. Footsteps. Anna gasped. She dove behind the long, heavy velvet curtains that covered the window. She pressed her back against the cold glass. She held her breath. The study door opened fully. It was Stephen. He walked into the room. He seemed upset. He was pacing. He went to his desk and picked up the phone. He pressed a button. Yes. Yes. Put him through. Now. Anna watched from the tiny gap in the curtains. "Dr. Miles?" Stephen said. "It's Stephen Thorne." "Yes. I wanted to thank you for your discretion." There was a pause. Anna's blood turned to ice. "Yes, it's progressing just as we discussed," Stephen continued. "No, my sister suspects nothing. She's too emotional to see clearly. It's a kindness, really. Prolonging this is just cruel." Anna's hands flew to her mouth. "Just as we discussed. The doctor was helping him." "Yes," Stephen said, his voice cold. "The bonus we discussed will be in your account by morning. Thank you for your professionalism." He hung up the phone. He stood there for a moment. Then he walked to the bar cart. Anna watched, her heart about to explode. He took a small, silver key from his vest pocket. He inserted it into the lock on the cigar box. He opened the lid. Inside, nestled next to a row of dark cigars, was the small, brown bottle. The real medicine. He picked it up. He looked at it. A small, thin smile crossed his face. A smile of pure, cold victory. He put the bottle back in the box. He closed the lid. He locked it. He put the key back in his pocket. He turned and left the study, closing the door behind him. Anna stayed behind the curtain for a full minute. shaking so hard her teeth chattered. She knew everything. The doctor was paid. The medicine was locked away. The key was in Stephen's pocket. It was impossible. The battlefield had changed, and she had lost again. She sank to the floor behind the curtain. She wanted to cry. She had failed. Mr. Thorne was going to die, and the man killing him was going to get everything. She sat there for a long time. Then, she heard footsteps again. Soft. Hesitant. The study door opened a crack. "Anna?" a voice whispered. Anna peeked out. It was Clara. Her face was white. "Anna? Are you in here? I saw you come in." Anna stepped out from behind the curtain, her face streaked with tears. Clara rushed to her. "What are you doing? You can't be in here. If Stephen finds you." "He's paying the doctor," Anna blurted out. Clara froze. "What? He was just in here. On the phone. He's paying Dr. Miles a bonus, because it's progressing as discussed. He said you were too emotional." Clara stared at Anna. She was seeing the girl for the first time. Not as the maid's daughter. Not as a piece of furniture. What are you saying?" Clara whispered, but her eyes showed that she already knew. "He's killing him," Anna said. "The medicine. He swapped it. The real medicine, the brown bottle, it's in that box." Anna pointed to the locked cigar box. Clara looked at the box. She looked at Anna. She thought of the sudden decline. The way Stephen took over all communication with Dr. Miles. The way the doctor avoided her eyes. The strange, sweet smell on her father's breath that she hadn't noticed before. It all clicked into place. The denial shattered. "That monster," Clara breathed. Her grief turned instantly into a white-hot, silent rage. "He is killing our father." She looked at Anna. "You are very, very brave." "The key is in his pocket," Anna whispered, her voice trembling. "We can't get it." Clara's face hardened. She was a thorn. She had been soft and sad, but she was still her father's daughter. "No," Clara said. "We can't. But I know where the other key is." Clara Thorne looked at the small, 10-year-old girl. The child who had seen what she, his own daughter, had refused to see. "My father," Clara said, her voice a tight wire, believed in redundancy. "He always said, 1 key is no key. 2 keys is 1 key." She pointed down the hall, in the opposite direction of the library. "His master set. For all the furniture. It's in his desk. In his bedroom." Anna's eyes went wide. "But, the nurse is in there. And him. Mrs. Boyd is the nurse." "She's not the family," Clara said. A cold authority had entered her voice. It was the authority she had avoided using for years. It was the voice of Wallace Thorne. "Stephen is in the library," Clara said, thinking fast. "He's probably on the phone with the lawyers right now, starting the process. He thinks he has time. He thinks father has hours." She looked at Anna. "We don't. We have minutes." Clara grabbed Anna's hand. It was no longer a gentle, absent-minded pat. It was a grip of partnership. "Stay with me. Do exactly as I say. And be silent." They left the study, closing the door softly. The hallway was a long, silent tunnel. Every step on the plush runner felt like a drumbeat to Anna. They were walking toward the danger. They reached the master bedroom. The door was open a few inches. Inside, they could hear the soft, rhythmic puff of an oxygen machine. Clara pushed the door open. The room was vast and dim. The curtains were drawn against the morning light. The only sound was the oxygen machine and the rustle of the nurse, Mrs. Boyd, who was tidying the far side of the room. And in the center, the enormous bed. Mr. Thorne was a still, pale shape under the sheets. Mrs. Boyd turned, startled. "Oh, Miss Thorne. You're back." "Mrs. Boyd," Clara said. Her voice was calm, but brittle. "I'd like a moment alone with my father, please." The nurse looked surprised. "Of course, ma'am. But Dr. Miles said." "I know what the doctor said," Clara interrupted. "He said we should be making him comfortable. And I wish to sit with him. Alone." "All right," Mrs. Boyd said. She was a kind woman, but she was an employee. She smoothed her uniform. "I'll just be in the hall. He's not in any pain. The new dosage from Dr. Miles is keeping him very, very peaceful." "Yes," Clara said, her eyes boring into the nurse. "I'm sure it is." Mrs. Boyd nodded, a little flustered by Clara's tone. She slipped out of the room, pulling the door almost shut, leaving it open just a crack. The moment the lock clicked, Clara moved. Anna was right behind her. Clara didn't look at her father. Not yet. She couldn't. If she looked at his face, she knew she would break. She went to the far wall, where a heavy, roll-top desk stood. It was her father's personal desk, the one he'd had since before the money. She sat in the chair. Her hands moved over the wood. He showed me this when I was a girl, she whispered. She pushed on a piece of carved trim on the left side. Click. A small, hidden panel popped open below the main drawers. It was barely large. Inside, on a bed of faded velvet, was a single, heavy brass ring. It held a dozen small, old-fashioned keys. He called them his skeleton keys, Clara murmured. She fumbled with the ring, her hands shaking violently. Grief and rage were making her clumsy. I can't see which one. Anna stepped forward. Her small, steady hand pointed. That one, ma'am. It's flat, like the lock on the cigar box. Clara looked at the key, then at Anna. She nodded. She slid that one key off the ring. She stood up. And then, she made the mistake of looking at her father. His face was waxy. His breathing was so shallow, the sheets barely moved. This was not the man who had taught her to ride a bicycle. This was not the man who had yelled at her for dating the wrong boys. This was a shell. Oh, Papa, she whispered. A tear rolled hot down her cheek. What has he done to you? She started to tremble. Her resolve was cracking. Ma'am. Anna's small voice cut through the fog of her grief. Ma'am, we have to go. He'll be back. Anna was right. The little girl was the strong one. Clara wiped her face with the back of her hand. The iron returned. Yes, you're right. She clutched the key. Let's go. They walked to the door. Clara peeked through the crack. Mrs. Boyd was at the end of the hall, talking quietly with another maid. Their backs were turned. Now, Clara whispered. They slipped out. They walked fast. Past the nurse. Past the grand staircase. They were halfway down the hall to Stephen's study when Anna suddenly pulled Clara backward, yanking her behind a tall marble statue. What? Clara hissed. Mama. Anna breathed. Emily. She was at the end of the hall, right in front of Stephen's study. She was pushing the heavy vacuum cleaner. She was cleaning the rug. She was blocking the door. Clara looked frantic. We can't wait. She'll be there for 10 minutes. Stephen will be done. Anna looked at her mother. She saw the set of her shoulders. She was just doing her job. She was being invisible. She was trying to protect her daughter by cleaning the rug outside the very room they needed to enter. The irony was sickening. I can move her, Anna said. What? She'll listen to me, Anna said. She's my mother. But she'll see us. She'll know. She won't, Anna said. You stay here. Wait for me. Before Clara could protest, Anna slipped away. She didn't run. She walked. She walked right up the hallway, as if she were just going back to her stool. Emily heard the footsteps and turned. The loud roar of the vacuum died. Anna. Emily's voice was sharp with fear. What are you doing? I told you to stay on the landing. I have a stomach ache, Mama, Anna said. She put her hand on her belly. She tried to look pale. It hurts. I think I ate too fast. Emily's expression changed instantly from frustrated boss to worried mother. Oh, sweetie. She knelt. Is it bad? Do you feel sick? I think so. I need to go to the kitchen. Can you get me some water? Of course. Of course I can. Emily stood up. She looked at the vacuum. She looked at her daughter. Her daughter won, every time. You go sit down, Emily said. I'll be right back with some water. And maybe a cracker. Can you walk with me? Anna asked, her voice small. I feel dizzy. It was a perfect, innocent lie. Yes, baby. Of course. Emily took Anna's hand. She gave one last look at the study door, annoyed that her work was interrupted. Then she led Anna away, toward the back stairs that led to the kitchen. As they turned the corner, Anna looked back. Clara was standing there, by the statue. Her face was a mask of astonishment. Anna gave her a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. Go. Clara didn't waste a second. She darted from behind the statue. She ran the last 20 feet to the study. She grabbed the knob, opened the door, and disappeared inside. Anna walked with her mother. You've been so quiet today, Anna, Emily said as they walked. I'm worried about you. This house, it's not a good place for a child. I'm okay, Mama. We'll be home soon. Just stay out of sight, okay? Stay away from these people. I will, Anna said. She had just lied to her mother's face. She had just manipulated her. A cold feeling settled in her. She was doing what Stephen did. She was lying. No, she told herself. Her great-uncle's voice again. A lie to save a life is not a sin. It's a tool. As soon as they were on the stairs, Emily said, Wait here. I'll be faster alone. The moment her mother was gone, Anna turned and ran. Back up the stairs. Back down the hall. She reached the study and slipped inside. Clara was kneeling by the bar cart. The cigar box was on the floor. It worked, Clara breathed. The key worked. The lid was open. And there it was. The small, brown bottle. Heartgard. The label read, Wallace Thorn. Take one as needed for chest pain. Anna looked at it. Then she looked at the empty spot next to the cigars, where the bottle had rested. Something was wrong. What is it? Clara asked, seeing Anna's face. Wait, Anna whispered. She knelt. She looked inside the cigar box. The velvet lining looked empty. But Anna, the girl who sketched shadows, noticed things. There was a slight indentation in the velvet, right next to where the brown bottle had been. It was the size of another bottle. He didn't just have the one, Anna whispered. There was another one. A blue one. The one I saw. The one he put on the nightstand. Clara looked confused. What do you mean? The bottle I saw him use, it was blue. The one my mother threw away. But what if he has more? What if that was the poison? Clara looked at the brown bottle in her hand. This is Papa's medicine. This is what he's supposed to have. Yes, Anna said. But what if we just give it to him? Mr. Stephen will know. The doctor will know. They will just say we poisoned him. They will say we're lying. He'll just get another blue bottle. Clara stood up. The brown bottle was heavy in her hand. She understood. This was not a simple swap. This was not a rescue. This was a war. And Stephen had a willing accomplice in Dr. Miles. You're right, Clara said, her voice hollow. If we give him this, Stephen will just say I'm the one who's unstable. He's been telling people I'm too emotional. He's been setting this up. She looked at the brown bottle. We can't give it to him. Not yet. So what do we do? Anna asked. She felt the hope draining away. Clara Thorne looked at the door. Her mind was working, clicking into place. She was no longer just the sad, soft daughter. She was a general. He thinks he is ours. He thinks father is dying naturally, Clara said. He's in the library, making arrangements. He's confident. We need to change that, Clara said. How? Clara smiled. It was a cold, sharp smile. It was the smile of Wallace Thorne closing a deal. We don't swap the medicine. We take it. We take the proof. She closed the cigar box. She locked it. But, your father, Anna said. He'll die. He's dying anyway, Clara said, the words like glass. Stephen is killing him. But if we do this right, we can save him and destroy Stephen at the same time. She grabbed Anna's hand. We're not going to hide. We're not going to sneak. We're going to change the battlefield. She put the brown bottle in her own pocket. She put the skeleton key in the other. Come on, she said. Where are we going? To the library, Clara said. We're going to interrupt Mr. Thorne's very important meeting. The library was at the end of the main hall. It was the only room Anna had never been near. The door was 20 feet tall, made of dark, heavy oak. It was a door built to keep secrets. Clara did not knock. She gripped the brass handle, turned it, and pushed. The door swung open with a heavy, expensive sigh. The room was enormous. Thousands of books lined the walls from floor to ceiling. In the center, at a desk as large as a car, sat Stephen Thorne. He was not alone. A man in a perfectly tailored gray suit sat across from him. He had a thin leather briefcase open on the desk. He was thin, sharp, and had the pale, dry look of someone who lived on paper and coffee. Stephen was on the phone. He was smiling. It was a relaxed, confident smile. Yes, absolutely. The transition will be seamless, Stephen was saying. He saw Clara, and his smile faded. It turned to annoyance. Harris, I'll have to call you back. He hung up the phone. Clara? What is the meaning of this? I am in a meeting with Mr. Harris, our family counsel. Your counsel, Stephen. Not our counsel, Clara said. She walked forward. Anna was a small shadow right behind her, her hand clutching the back of Clara's skirt. The lawyer, Mr. Harris, stood up. He was polite, but his eyes were sharp. He was an observer, just like Anna. Miss Thorne, the lawyer said, my deepest condolences. Stephen was just updating me on your father's condition. He was he? Clara said. She stopped at the edge of the desk. She looked at her brother. The soft, sad woman was gone. A stranger was looking at him. Clara, you are not well, Stephen said, his voice lowering into a tone of false sympathy. This is all a shock. And you've brought a child? This is highly inappropriate. Take her and go lie down. We can talk later. We'll talk now, Clara said. She took the small, brown bottle from her pocket. She placed it on the desk, on top of a stack of legal papers. It landed with a quiet thud. Stephen Thorne stared at it. Anna watched his face. She saw it all. First, confusion. His eyes flickered. He did not understand. Second, a flash of pure, cold panic. He thought, the box. How did she get in the box? His hand, almost without thinking, twitched toward his vest pocket. The key is still here. Third, recovery. He rebuilt his mask of calm. It was fast, but Anna saw it. The lawyer saw it, too. Mr. Harris's eyes narrowed by a tiny fraction. What is this, Clara? Stephen asked. He tried to laugh. Are you bringing me trash? That is father's heart medicine, Clara said, her voice low and clear. The real medicine. The one he is supposed to take. The one that you took from his room. The lawyer, Mr. Harris, stopped moving. He did not blink. Clara, this is insane, Stephen said. He stood up, placing his hands on the desk. A show of power. You are hysterical. Father's medicine is on his nightstand. Dr. Miles has been administering it all day. No, Anna said. Her voice was tiny, but in the huge, silent room, it was as loud as a gunshot. Stephen looked at Anna as if he had just seen an insect. What did you say? That isn't his medicine, Anna said, repeating the words she had whispered to the dying man. The medicine on the nightstand is blue. You put it there. You took this one. The brown one. Stephen's face turned dark red. This is madness. Harris, are you hearing this? My sister has conspired with the maid's daughter to make these filthy accusations. He pointed a shaking finger at Anna. This child should be removed. This is what happens when we let the help run wild. Mr. Harris did not look at Stephen. He looked at Clara. Miss Thorne, the lawyer said, his voice like dry leaves. That is a very serious claim. You are suggesting that your brother, in conspiracy with Dr. Miles, is accelerating your father's decline. I am saying, Clara replied, that my brother is murdering our father for $75 million. And this girl is the only one who was brave enough to see it. It's a lie, Stephen shouted. He was losing his cool. She's a child. She's lying. She's probably a thief. Am I? Clara asked. She reached into her other pocket. She pulled out the single, old-fashioned skeleton key. She placed it on the desk next to the brown bottle. Stephen froze. He knew that key. This is father's master key, Stephen, Clara said softly. The one for all his furniture, including your little cigar box. The one you keep locked in your study. Stephen's blood drained from his face. He was no longer red. He was white. He was a ghost. He was trapped. Mr. Harris, the lawyer, watched Stephen's face. He had his proof. It was not the bottle. It was not the key. It was Stephen's silent, terrified confession. Mr. Thorne, the lawyer said to Stephen. Perhaps you should explain. Stephen just stared. He opened his mouth. No sound came out. The library door burst open again. It was Emily. She was out of breath. She had run from the kitchen. Her face was frantic with panic. Anna, she cried. Oh, thank God. Anna, what are you doing? I am so sorry, sir, ma'am. I told her to wait. She saw the room. The angry brother. The cold sister. The silent lawyer. And her daughter, standing in the center of it all. Emily's world collapsed. Oh, no. No, no, no. Stephen saw his escape. He saw the weak link. He pointed at Emily. Your daughter is a thief. She has been in my private study. She stole this key. She stole this bottle. She is a liar. Emily looked at the items on the desk. She looked at her daughter. She remembered the blue bottle from last night. Anna, Emily whispered, her voice breaking. What did you do? I told you. I told you to leave it. Apologize. Apologize now. Tell them you were playing. She grabbed Anna's arm. Please, sir. She's just a child. She doesn't understand. She likes to find things. We will leave. I will pack. We will go. No, Mama, Anna said. She did not pull away. She just stood firm. Anna, please. Emily begged, tears streaming down her face. They will call the police. They will take you. This is not our life. We cannot win this. He's right, Mama, Anna said. Her voice was steady. It was the voice of her great-uncle Frank. I did go in his study. I did watch him. Emily sobbed. Why? Because I saw him, Anna said, turning her eyes back to Stephen. I saw you swap the medicine 2 days ago. And I heard you on the phone. Today, in your study, you were talking to Dr. Miles. You said, it's progressing just as we discussed. You said Miss Clara was too emotional to see clearly. You said his bonus would be in his account by morning. The room was completely still. Mr. Harris, the lawyer, slowly sat down. He had heard enough. Stephen Thorne looked at the 10-year-old girl. He was not looking at a child. He was looking at his executioner. You little brat, he hissed. It is over, Stephen, Clara said. She picked up the brown bottle. Mr. Harris is here. My mother's maid is here. And Anna is here. We have the medicine. We have the key. And we have the truth. The truth, Stephen said, a wild, desperate energy coming into his eyes. You have nothing. You have the word of a 10-year-old. You have a crazy, grieving sister. I have Dr. Miles. I have the facts. My father is dying. Naturally. It is a tragedy, but it is natural. Then you won't mind, Clara said, if we go to his room. All of us. Right now. And we give him his real medicine. No, Stephen yelled. The word was a reflex. Everyone stared at him. He can't be disturbed, Stephen stammered. Dr. Miles said, it could be a shock to his system. A shock of living? Clara asked. She started to walk toward the door. We are going. Mr. Harris, I want you to be a witness. The lawyer stood. I believe that is a wise course of action. No. Stay here, Stephen shouted. He ran to the door, blocking it. You can't. I am the executor of this estate. I am in charge of his care. I forbid it. Clara stopped, her face just inches from her brother's. Get out of my way, Stephen, or I will have you removed. By whom? He sneered. You and the help? No, a new voice said. A deep, rough, and unbelievably tired voice. It came from the hallway. A figure was standing there, leaning heavily on the doorframe. He was in a silk robe, his hair a mess. He was pale. He was trembling. But he was standing. It was Wallace Thorne. The library was frozen in a moment of impossible silence. Stephen Thorne looked at the figure in the doorway as if he were seeing a ghost. His face, which had been white with panic, was now a mask of utter, sickening disbelief. Papa, Clara whispered. The brown medicine bottle, the proof she had guarded so fiercely, slipped from her hand. It rolled unnoticed onto the priceless Persian rug. She didn't care. She ran to him. Papa, you're standing. She caught him as he sagged, his strength failing. She held him up. How? Wallace Thorne's eyes never left his son. I, Stephen stammered. He backed away from the door, stumbling into the heavy desk. You're supposed to be asleep? Wallace's voice was a dry, terrible rasp. Yes, that was the plan. Your plan. He leaned on Clara, his breathing heavy, but his gaze was like iron. I heard you, Stephen. From my room. The door was open. I forbid it, you said. You were forbidding your sister from saving my life. No, Stephen protested, his voice cracking. It's not. She was trying to hurt you. With that medicine, Dr. Miles said. Dr. Miles is a paid criminal. Wallace cut him off. And you are a fool. He looked past his children, past the lawyer. His eyes, clouded with sickness but still sharp, found Anna. She was standing small and terrified, half hidden behind her mother. I was in the fog, Wallace said, his voice quiet, forcing everyone to lean in. The pills you gave me, Stephen. The blue ones. The new dosage. They were heavy. I was so tired. I was letting go. He held Anna's gaze. And then I heard a voice. It was very small. A whisper. He looked right at Anna, and a flicker of recognition, of gratitude, moved across his pale face. She whispered, That isn't your medicine. Emily gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. She finally, truly, understood. That little voice, Wallace continued. It was the truth. It was a single, tiny light in the dark. And I knew I wasn't just dying. I was being murdered. By my own son. He had fought the fog. He had pretended to be deeper in sleep than he was. He had heard the argument in the hall. He had heard Clara and Anna leave the study. He had used every last shred of his legendary will to pull himself from the bed and follow the sound. He had arrived just in time to hear his son's final act of betrayal. You wanted the money, Stephen, Wallace said. There was no rage in his voice. Only a vast, cold, empty finality. You wanted it so badly, you couldn't even wait. You couldn't wait for the man who gave you everything. It was a business decision. Stephen suddenly screamed, his composure shattering. You were giving it all away. To charity. You were destroying our legacy. It was my legacy, Wallace stated. It was my money. He turned his head toward the lawyer, who was watching with grim, professional stillness. Mr. Harris, Wallace ordered. You are a witness to all of this. Call the police. I want my son arrested and charged with attempted murder. And I want Dr. Miles's license, his career, and his freedom. See to it personally. Yes, Mr. Thorne, Mr. Harris said. He did not look at Stephen. He pulled out his phone and walked to the far side of the library. Stephen Thorne did not shout. He did not run. He just collapsed. He fell backward into his large leather chair. All the power, the arrogance, the cold confidence, it was gone. He was nothing but an empty suit. He covered his face with his hands. Clara was weeping, her head on her father's shoulder. I'm so sorry, Papa. I was here. I didn't see it. It's all right, child, he murmured, patting her hair. You saw it when it mattered. His gaze then moved to the other mother and daughter. Emily, he said. Emily flinched, terrified. Sir, I am so sorry. I will pack our things. We will go. You will stay, Wallace commanded, his voice gaining a fraction of its old strength. You will be my personal housekeeper. You will run this entire house. From now on, you will answer only to me and my daughter. You will be paid what you are truly worth. Emily looked at him, stunned into silence. Finally, Wallace Thorne looked at Anna. The old billionaire, the patriarch of a $75 million empire, and the 10-year-old maid's daughter. The most powerful man in the room, and the girl who had been invisible. And you, he said. His voice softened. What is your name? Anna, sir, she whispered. Anna, he nodded, as if committing it to memory. You have brave eyes. You don't just look at the world. You see it. You saved my life. He looked at the desk, at the stacks of papers Mr. Harris had been preparing. The papers that would have given Stephen everything. He wanted the money, Wallace said, almost to himself. Now, he will learn what it is to have none. He looked at Clara. We are changing the will. Today, Stephen is written out. He will not get $1. He will not get one chair. He will have to learn what it means to earn a living. The inheritance. Emily stammered. It all goes to you, Miss Clara. Clara looked at her father, her eyes still red. Papa, I don't care about the money. I only care about you. I know, Wallace said, which is why you are worthy of it. He took a deep breath. The business is yours, Clara. The house is yours. But the $75 million. He looked back at Anna. The $75 million is going into a new foundation. It will be for the education of children who have no one to speak for them. Children who are taught to be invisible. He smiled, a true, warm smile. We will call it the Anna Foundation. And when you are old enough, Anna, you will have a permanent seat on the board. For a moment, no one spoke. Stephen sobbed quietly into his hands, a broken man. Emily was crying, but for the first time in her life, her tears were not from fear or exhaustion. They were tears of relief. Clara was holding her father, a new, strong light in her eyes. And Anna just stood there. She had come to the mansion as a ghost, a small dandelion seed in the wrong garden. She had been told to be invisible, but she had chosen to see. And that's where our chapter closes tonight. I hope this little detour gave you a moment to breathe, to wander away from the everyday. I'm curious where you're tuning in from. Maybe you're relaxing with a warm drink, on a quiet porch somewhere, or winding down after a long day. Tell me in the comments. I always check them. If you'd like to journey through more stories together, tapping like and subscribe truly helps us keep going. We're constantly working to make each tale better than the last, so your feedback is always welcome. Thanks for sharing a piece of your time with me. Until the next story.